3, 2, 1.
So this is going to be a simple tutorial, but it's also super cool and pretty quick. So it's always fun to kind of put soft bodies into shapes, play around with it, and experiment with all kinds of cool effects. So let's just jump right into this. I have a simple scene here with just a straight up camera in the middle of the screen. I have my settings here at 1280 by 1280 to get that square kind of viewport, and I just have the letter S in the middle. I used depth of 80. I used SF Pro display, black, aligned it middle, made it 400 in the width, and yeah. The next thing I'm going to do, just to kind of see this clearly, I'm going to press N-G to go into this lines mode so I can see inside the S. And I'm going to start dropping in some spheres. I'm just going to drop in a sphere. I'm going to change the mode here. I'm going to bump up the segments a little bit, up to 40. And I'm going to press T, put this right in the middle. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to my front view here so I can see it perfectly straight. Put it right in the middle. And then also look at my right view here, make sure it's in the middle. Now I know that edge is not touching any of the edges of the S, which clearly it's not. Let's go back here and to the front view. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select our sphere and make sure our object mode is selected. We're on the move section here, and we're just going to hold control and duplicate this guy a few times. Let's just fill in our shape. We're going to move these around and change their sizes in a bit, but just to fill it in, this looks kind of cool. Now let's just go in here and play around with the sizes a little bit. It's good to have some variety so our shape looks cool. Alright, have a quick peek here, make sure everything's in the middle, and it is. Cool. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Shift-C, drop in a connect object here, and select all your spheres, drop them in here. I'm going to call my connect soft bodies, and let's move my camera up top. And yeah, also now that we got these going on, let's select the soft bodies, go to tags, simulation, off, and let's go to my S, go to tags, simulation, and collider. Let's kill any bounce or any friction on the collider, and most importantly, let's change the collider sides to back because we want it to intersect with the inside of the S and not the outside. Let's go to our cloth tag and go balloon, and let's set the overpressure to like 8, which is going to kind of inflate all these spheres. Before we press play, it's really important that because we're using simulations here with the cloth tag, that we kill our gravity, otherwise everything is just going to fall. I'm just going to go to 0 here on the simulations and scenes. Let's see how this looks. Ooh, so that's not quite right. So what seems to be happening here is the overpressure is too much. It's each one is growing so much that it's kind of exceeding this, and they're going inside of each other. I'm going to bring this down. Let's go 6. Still too big. Let's go 4. And let's make sure we restart the animation. Much better. I'm gonna make it a little bit more Let's go 4.2, just so they're like squeezing a little bit more. Maybe 4.35. I know it's getting really nitpicky here, but sometimes these settings matter. Okay, it looks really good. Let's. You'll notice they're kind of shaking a little bit, and we're gonna fix this by playing with the surface here. But before we do that, let's just have a look at this in our perspective view. We'll press NA, and I'm gonna hide my S, and I'm also gonna add a subdivision surface to the soft bodies, just so they're a little bit smoother. And let's replay this. So you'll notice the shaking here and so on, and you also notice they're not quite as like cool and jiggly. And again, we're gonna solve all this by going to our balloon tag, go to surface, and let's play with these settings. I'm gonna make the bendiness, let's go like 65. Let's make the stretchiness about 100. We want no bounce, we want no friction, and I'm gonna make the thickness like 3, double the size. And target length is really important. That's sort of what makes it, gives it a little bit stretchiness kind of thing. I'm gonna make this like 110. Let's see how this looks. That's pretty cool. You know what? I might keep the thickness back to 1.5. I think maybe that is, yeah, that's better. So that looks cool. Looks really cool. What's cool about this as well is that it's all simulation. So if I take my Collider S, for example, and move it, everything inside of it moves in this really cool way. But let me undo that, keep it centered. But there we go. In just like 5 minutes, we got ourselves a shape with some soft bodies on there, and looks pretty cool. Let's now jump into lighting this guy, adding some materials, adding some lights, making it look all cool. But I just do want to mention that if you do want to play around with this some more, there's many things you can do. You can change the shapes, you can change the amount of segments on the sphere, which will affect how it looks. You can obviously play around with the settings some more. If you want it more stretchy, for example, you can bump this guy up, which is probably going to look ridiculous, but that's still cool. Again, all kinds of fun things you can do here, but I'm gonna undo before this crashes. Cool. So let's go back to this. This looks cool. Let's light up this scene, and then at the end, I'm gonna show you another cool little trick that you can do to add some cool extra objects in the scene. So let's get to lighting. I'm gonna add a backdrop. I'm gonna press Shift-C, backdrop, and let's we can do a lot with just these settings here. I'm just gonna bring it down so it's inside here, and now I'm gonna make the width a little bit bigger. I can tell from the viewport here that everything's fitting, but yeah, the height bigger. This is fitting nicely. Let's bring it down a little bit more so we don't see too much of that shadow. I'm gonna make it a little bit rounded here at the corner, or potentially less rounded. Could be cool as a surface like this. And let me increase the depth as well. Bring it in. Okay. Let's fire up Redshift and press play. this guy here, and let's start lighting this guy up. I'm gonna drop in a dome, and drop in. Actually, I'm gonna kill the intensity from the dome for a second. I'm gonna drop in a light, just a regular area light. I'm gonna apply a target tag to it, and I'm gonna use my S as the target. And let's go out here. I'm gonna move it to the side, and move it like this. And I think the reason, actually, I'm gonna make it aligned to the subdivision. The reason why it's doing that is because the anchor point of the S is down here, which is why the light is aiming at the bottom of the S. So I'm gonna change that to this, and notice how now this is looking at the center of these spheres. So let's put this somewhere here on the side, and I'm gonna make it sharper. Actually, I'm gonna make it kind of the size of this, maybe a little bit higher too, and bring it a little bit to the front. And let's also, first of all, let me play this a little bit so we fill in our S. Okay, and I'm gonna duplicate this area light and fill in the other side right here. I'm gonna drop the intensity to like maybe a 50, even less, 20, 28. And you know what? I'm gonna move the other one a little bit, make it a little bit wider to fill in some of these shadows here. Go here, go a little bit up, and let's drop the intensity a little bit on this guy, 65. Let's bring it back a little bit, make the shadows a bit softer. I'm gonna drop in some material. I'm gonna use Grayscale Gorilla like last time, but feel free to kind of use any kind of way to add some materials. Obviously, feel free to use the asset browser here and drop in materials from straight from Maxon. But I'm just gonna go ahead and use Grayscale. I'm gonna use some previously downloaded stuff. Let's use this guy. Light almost looks nice. I'm gonna drop it in on my subdivision here. And right away we got this. I'm gonna scale it back a little bit. Go like 65, 65. Let's just quickly play this. I'll make it smaller actually, it's too much, yeah, there we go. Of course, depends what you're going for. You can go dark mode as well. For example, if we hide our backdrop here and do some kind of cool dark effect and maybe play around with the light colors and so on, you can end up with some cool stuff. I will add a gobo here as well. Let me hide both lights and go to Redshift lights, go spot, and same thing. I'm just going to add the same target tag and position it somewhere, maybe somewhere here. I'm going to bring in a gobo. Feel free to bring one in from wherever you please. I'm just going to bring one from here. We'll try. Let me try something like this. And obviously it's very dark now, but I'm gonna blast up the intensity and the exposure a little bit, get some cool dramatic effect. Let me add this even more. That's cool. Feel free to play around with the positioning of this to get all kinds of cool effects. But I'm just gonna place it somewhere right here. And then I'm gonna bring back my lights slowly. Got this guy. I'm gonna bring the intensity way lower on this guy to see some of those cool shadows here. So I want to bring in my backdrop. I don't know, I kind of like it on the black background. But let me just bring this. I think the edges are too close, which is why we're seeing some of those shadows there. So let me just make this a lot bigger. I think this is cool, but I kind of dig it on a dark background. I think this is cool too. And just like the intro you saw at the beginning, what I did there was I applied a few different materials, did a couple of other renders, and then just kind of edited it in After Effects. But that's pretty much it. One little thing that I'll share, which is kind of cool, is this little effect here. So just to kind of mix things up a little bit, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my front view, zoom in here, and I'm gonna go to spline, and I'm just gonna draw a spline that goes into this S. And again, this is the bonus part of my video that I wanted to share. But I'm just gonna draw a spline here, and what this spline is gonna do is it's gonna drive a shape that's gonna go inside here and go in all of these soft bodies, and then it's gonna go out here. So I'm gonna drop in let's drop in something interesting. Maybe a capsule. I'm gonna drop in this capsule. Let's add some segments to it. Maybe like 10. Okay. And I'm gonna give this capsule a fun little material. I'm gonna go back here, go to materials, you go to collections, materials, apply something weird. I'm gonna apply one of these weird guys. Maybe this. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is press Shift C, go align to. Actually, make sure I have the capsule selected. We'll go Shift C and go align to spline, meaning we want to align this this item to a spline. And which spline is it? It's this one. And now we have ourselves a position that goes through this thing like this. It's cool. So how do we make it go inside of this? First of all, I'm gonna make my fill a little bit smaller. Maybe gonna rotate it this way. And I'm gonna just make my spline start. Oops. I'm gonna hide the capsule. I'm gonna make my spline just start a little bit lower here, and also a little bit further here, so it goes inside and outside. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna apply a cloth tag on this capsule as well. So I'm gonna go simulation, and I'm gonna go cloth. I'm gonna make it also balloon, and it's gonna balloon to like just say overpressure of like 3, and that's about it. What we're gonna do now is after our S fully inflates, let's say around should be the 30-second mark, because that's how long we have it set to expand. I'm gonna say around my 42nd frame here, I'm gonna drive an animation, which is on this spline tag. The animation is gonna be my position here. It's gonna go from 0%, and then let's go all the way up to like 240, which is 100 frames in, all the way to 100, which means it's gonna go all the way here. And I'm gonna drop in another position here. I'm gonna also go tangential here, which is gonna make it kind of rotate along the spline. So what happens now if we play this is not gonna quite work, and the reason why, let's see how it's gonna happen here. I'm gonna disable my subdivision just so it renders faster. And let's look at that pill. Oh, it didn't move. The reason why it didn't move is because we need to go mix animation. We need to go mix animation and go with pins. Let's try it. There it is. Going in. Goes in all of these. And it gets out. And these guys get back to their position. It's going to create all kinds of craziness here. This is probably going to be an effect that looks cooler with like a liquid material, maybe some roughness as well, so you don't see any of these weird edges. But I also do have subdivision turned off, which will get it smoother here. But let's just play this and look at it in rendered view. And now my pill is gonna take off, pause and play. Notice it goes, and it's gonna force itself to go to the aligned path. And because we have mixed animations enabled, it's going through it, and even though it's a cloth. Now what we can do is not make the influence not exactly 100. Let's make the influence 70%. Now it is half of this pill is gonna be, I should say like 70% of this pill is gonna be going on the path, and the other 30% are gonna be the balloon tag. So notice now what's gonna happen. Again, I'm gonna disable subdivision just so we can see this faster. But notice now. To notice here, let's make the balloon more, just so it's more exaggerated. One second. Let's go to mix animations. Let's make this 20, just so we see more obviously. That's what it is. Yeah. See, now it got jiggly right away, and maybe it's too jiggly. So let's bring this like 50 maybe. And notice how it's going through our object, and then once it does, the object goes sort of goes back to its original place, and it creates all kinds of crazy effects here, which is fun. Another way to get this smoother as well is to add a subdivision on our pill. And I think it's also about kind of getting the right segments here, and that we'll get that pill looking cooler. But I think that's about it. I'll drop it here. This is just sort of a little technique of how do you make things interact with a soft body, and really you can do any animation you want, and then when you go to your cloth tag using the mix animation, if you're using movement, you apply that with pins, and then you select how much influence you want to give that animation. Or if you're using forces like turbulence and so on, you would use with force, and then you would apply how much force do you want that to affect. Anyways, I'll drop it here. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you guys later.